In today's anime industry, the term movie quality animation has pretty much lost all meaning because now we are frequently getting entire TV productions that bridge the gap between what is considered as movie quality animation and TV quality animation. But even discarding those unique TV anime projects, it's still not rare that just a good old TV animation project will also have like a couple of episodes that reach that movie quality level. A classic example of this would be Kojima Productions at OLM Films and now the newly formed Bug Films. They make shows that have extremely rushed productions and the quality suffers because of that, but animation producer Kojima always makes sure that there are at least a couple of episodes where his team of top level talent can flex to their full potential and make an incredible looking episode. But even productions where the animation quality is pretty much consistent from the first episodes to the last episodes, like Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, also have their share of like a couple of episodes where everything just bumps up in terms of quality. And I'm not just talking about the number of action animators participating, I'm also talking about the general level of polish that these episodes specifically receive and also the enormous number of frames in terms of unique drawings for these specific episodes. That is what gives them that movie quality feel. And yes, for these specific type of episodes that are made under unique circumstances, the idea of budget also comes into play. If you want to make episodes where things just never stop moving, then money also starts to play a pretty significant role. And while these episodes are pretty common today, there was a time, obviously, when this wasn't really common. It was a time when seasonal anime was the anomaly and most shows were long running. So it would be pretty fair to say that this idea of sacrificing a bunch of episodes to then produce movie quality episodes is an idea that was popularized in the Naruto franchise. The director of both Naruto and Shippuden, Hayato Date, wanted the action highlights of Naruto to look good. So through his unique and unorthodox methods of resource management, at least at the time, he made sure that the episodes that do contain the key moments look absolutely phenomenal. This is done by a combination of mass outsourcing the episodes that come prior to these important episodes, staff allocation such that you can have your best directors and best Sakuga animators to work on these episodes, and also, to an extent, as I mentioned before, the management of money, as you need a lot of high quality doga artists to also participate and make sure the final product looks pretty good. And as far as focusing your key staff for the important episode goes, in terms of directors, there are two key players, and yeah, that's pretty much it. There are just two of them. These directors are Toshiyuki Suru and the director that this video is about, Atsushi Wakabayashi. And if you're talking about the important animators who participated in these episodes, you have Norio Matsumoto, and that's it. I mean, you did have the occasional sequence by other high-level animators like Tetsuya Takeuchi, and even corrections and animations by the directors themselves like Toshiki Suru for his episodes and Atsushi Wakabayashi for his episodes. But apart from that, the important episodes of Naruto were pretty much solo carried by Norio Matsumoto. And by solo carry, I really do mean it. I'm saying that he animated like 90% of the Atsushi Wakabayashi episodes. At the end of the day though, it's pretty safe to say that Hayato Date's gamble did pay off. The high priority episodes of Naruto, both by Toshiyuki Suru and Atsushi Wakabayashi, are timeless masterpieces and will be studied even in the future generations for the sheer quantity of high quality animations and storyboards in them. Of these two directors though, I would still say that Atsushi Wakabayashi is the more idiosyncratic one. As an animator, he's someone who gives most priority to movement. He was not afraid to make his characters look comical if it meant better movement. And because of Wakabayashi's animation philosophies, his storyboards fit Norio Matsumoto like a glove. Even back then, Norio Matsumoto's idiosyncrasies were mistaken for bad animation by people who know nothing about animation. But overall, even among the general fan base, those episodes were still held in a high level of regard. And well, when it comes to animators, obviously, those episodes were considered to be masterpieces. Norio Matsumoto especially is widely considered as one of the best action animators in the industry. With that animation talent also came an extremely high level of ability to inspire and influence. Norio Matsumoto is one of the most influential action animators of all time, and many action animators who are considered veterans today take inspiration from him and use his animation techniques as a base. When Naruto Shippuden came around the corner, Hayato Date would still follow most of his same philosophies, sacrifice a large number of episodes just to have a few be of extremely high level of quality. This time though, because of the combined influence of him, Norio Matsumoto, Atsushi Wakabayashi and Toshiyuki Suru, a lot more talented young animators and directors flocked to this project. Of these, the most key players when it comes to animation are two animators, Hiroyuki Yamashita and Naoki Kobayashi. Yamashita is Norio Matsumoto's student and thus obviously takes a lot of inspiration from him. As you can see, their styles are very similar. Eventually, Yamashita did make adjustments to his style, however. He became a far more timing-focused animator who gives a lot of emphasis on the poses, thus requiring fewer number of drawings than Norio Matsumoto. Yamashita also put in a lot of effort and time into perfecting his character drawings, and today he is one of the best character artists in the industry. No matter who the animation director of the episode is, they are most likely not gonna correct Hiroyuki Yamashita's drawings because they are perfect. There's nothing really to correct. The second animator that I talked about, being Naoki Kobayashi, is definitely more of a Yutaka Nakamura inspired animator, but he's also just as incredible, and most of my favorite hand-to-hand or tight choreography based animation that came from Shippuden actually came from Naoki Kobayashi. And higher to that, his unique method of producing anime would work for quite a bit of time. Shippuden then goes on to have 3 non-canon movies that looked great and obviously thus also affected the TV anime's production, but not to a detrimental extent. That is, until the Pain arc. The Pain arc is one of the most important arcs in the entirety of Naruto franchise. It's very important content and needs to be treated with that same level of respect. The dilemma just came from the fact that the team also had to simultaneously produce the 4th Naruto Shippuden movie, named The Lost Tower or something, fucking Indiana Jones, I don't give a fuck. But being a movie, it sucked in some of Naruto's most important staff members. Many directors who storyboarded and directed literally dozens of episodes in Shippuden were busy working on the movie and could not work on the Pain arc. An even bigger loss, however, was on the animation side of things, with Hiroyuki Yamashita, who was busy working on the movie and could not help out with the Pain arc. So now, instead of going with the safe bet of spreading out what remains of the high priority staff that you do have, Date instead doubled down on his philosophies. The entirety of the Pain arc just underwent mass outsourcing just so that the 2 pivotal episodes could look incredible. These 2 pivotal episodes being 166 and 167. Things also came full circle because these 2 episodes would be directed by the OGs Toshiki Suru and Atsushi Wakabayashi respectively. This is obviously a massive gamble, but nothing that the Naruto franchise was new to, especially since you're gonna have your 2 most trusted directors work on these episodes anyway. Now that you do have the directors though, you also need animators. For Toshiki Suru's episode 166, Tokuyuki Matsutake animated like the climax of the action, but aside from that one sequence animated by him, the episode was pretty much solo carried by Hirofumi Suzuki. Whether it was the action animation, the character acting, and the overall correction and feel of the entire episode, it was pretty much Suzuki. And yes, this episode ended up as a pretty big success. The climax was still the next episode, 167 by Atsushi Wakabayashi. As far as animation talent went for this side, episode 167 was produced around the time when the popularity of web generation was spiking. So we had 2 young animators participate alongside Norio Matsumoto to have a 3-man team to animate the entirety of the episode. The 2 young animators being, at the time, a 26-year-old Kenichi Kutsuna and a 22-year-old Shingo Yamashita. If these 2 names are familiar, that's because these 2 are some of the biggest names in the industry currently. Kenichi Kutsuna's method of animating lightning became so popular that it became like the only method of animating lightning that there is. And it's even termed as Kutsuna lightning. Shingo Yamashita, while an incredible animator, would also broaden his strengths and carry an extremely high level of influence. He's one of the best compositing artists in the industry with absolute flawless 3D 2D integration, and also the best director for openings. Any opening that he directs, instantly elevated to masterpiece status. Coincidentally, Kenichi Kutsuna also did direct one of my favorite openings of this year, being the Magical Destroyers opening. As animators, these 2 take heavy influence from Norio Matsumoto. They are Matsumoto school animators through and through. But while Hiroyama went on the route of polishing his drawings while sacrificing fluidity a bit, Shingo Yamashita took Norio Matsumoto's base to the opposite extreme end, completely sacrificing drawings to have just the highest level of fluidity that you can possibly have in animation. These episodes do have more animators working on it, by the way. It's not just these 3. There are still second key animators, for example, like Shingo Natsume and Gosei Oda, very popular names. They helped out with second key animation for this episode. And also Atsushi Wakabayashi, as usual, also helped out with the key animation. But the bulk of the episode, and well, more importantly, all of the action in this episode was animated by 3 people, the first 5.5 minutes of which would be animated by the aforementioned 22-year-old Shingo Yamashita. And this 5.5 minutes is just unfiltered Shingo Yamashita madness. he had full reign over what he was doing here, because Atsushi Wakabayashi is not a director to limit creative freedom of animators. Unfortunately, regardless of how good the production schedule was, animating 5.5 minutes of pure action content is not easy. But even then, I wouldn't really say that his drawings were necessarily bad. It was just that he was letting his creativity flow to the limits. What Norio Matsumoto did back in the day, Shingo Yama did the same but on steroids. Kenichi Kutsuno's animation was also more of the same, stretching and morphing the characters to its absolute limits. Whether the scenes as a result looked goofy or not was not even a question that came into the mind of these animators. They were just doing the best job that they could in the best way that they could at the time. After the works of these two came the second half of the episode, which, again in classic Matsumoto fashion, Norio Matsumoto just animated by himself, and his work also, obviously, as we've already seen in the past. The focus is entirely on making powerful, expressive animation. So anyway, the team succeeded in doing what they planned out to do, even though the overwhelming majority of the Pain arc was sacrificed in terms of quality, just so that 2 episodes can exist. These 2 episodes were of such an overwhelming high level of quality that it pretty much overshadows the rest of the arc. But the fandom said otherwise. Episode 167, Wakabayashi's masterpiece, was widely regarded by the general fan base as a bad episode. I mean, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say most of them considered it was the worst episode. Now, animation illiterates insulting high-quality works when they know nothing about animation is something that still happens. We saw that as recently as the latest Jujutsu Kaisen episode, where Takuya Ninuma's corrections were somehow mistaken for CGI, and Sota Yamazaki's corrections were mistaken for bad animation. I'm not even making this shit up. Anyway, the difference is that because Sakuga is slowly seeping in to, like, anime Twitter, and just more to the casual audience in general, the number of extremely stupid takes are countered by an equal number of educated ones. That's why I do think that the Sakuga community seeping into anime Twitter is mostly a good thing. But back in 2010, that wasn't the case. If I search up Naruto vs Pain animation on YouTube, the first result is this 8-year-old video titled Pain vs Naruto, the Saki animation. And that's just the unfortunate case of it, because Naruto Shippuden is the most mainstream show that there is. It's not like Mob Psycho 100 that filtered out the normies all the way back in episode 1. We're talking about a community here where people unironically post Itachi quotes as their statuses. It's a group of people who would have been totally fine with just having colored manga panels with sound. But what they unfortunately got is back-to-back episodes of the highest level of animation quality. And this was the unfortunate turning point of Atsushi Wakabayashi's career. Imagine spending like half a year on the most high-profile and the most important episode of the entire franchise. You're carrying the hopes and dreams of the director and the entire production. All of those resources to put out an episode that is widely regarded as a bad episode. And yeah, it wouldn't really be an exaggeration to say that this ruined Wakabayashi's career. I'm not saying that he's not working now at all. No, he's still working, he's still storyboarding episodes and such. But one of the most talented directors that the industry has ever seen, only getting to work on low priority episodes with minimal resources, is pretty much equivalent to him not having his career anymore. Wakabayashi has done storyboards for 29 Boruto episodes. I didn't even know that they existed until I looked them up for this video. It's just that he's no longer getting the opportunity to do any high-profile work, and there's no way of telling whether that's his own choice or because his reputation has gone down to a point where no studio is willing to give him that opportunity. And yeah, it's just an extremely unfortunate scenario. Toshiyuki Suru, the other key director's output has also been quite a bit low compared to just how much high quality output he used to give out. But it's safe to say that he's still a very well respected director because he storyboarded one of the most important scenes in episode 217 of Boruto, which was animated by Hiroyuki Yamashita, just like the good old days. He also did storyboards for episode 7 of Bleach TYBW, which was one of the best episodes of that core. Wakabayashi, on the other hand, has done nothing. Yet, I am still holding on to hope. Wakabayashi did the storyboards, action animation direction, effects animation direction, and also key animation for Bleach's Core 2 episode 5. And here you were able to see hints of his greatness, and it does stand out quite a bit as the highlight of this arc as a whole. But for a show where the standard quality is a straight line close to the bottom, a tiny spike is of course going to be a highlight. It's absolutely nothing compared to what Wakabayashi did 10 years back. And well, even 20 years back. I'm still holding on to the hope that he can make like a major comeback in some way. Maybe get to work on like a high priority episode on Boruto with all of his friends that he worked on in the past. That actually does not seem like a good idea when I think about it. Considering the reception of this cut by Rin Onodera, it's pretty safe to assume that the Naruto fandom is just allergic to creative animation. It's not really just Naruto fandom, honestly. It's just anime fandoms in general that can't appreciate creative animation. Yes, Mob Psycho is sort of like an exception, but it's not as popular and definitely not nearly as profitable as like the big three and the other popular shonen. So all we can really do is just slowly increase the animation knowledge level of the average anime fan. And to do that, following my channel is a pretty good start. And so yeah, if you like this video, leave a like. If you did not like this video, leave a dislike. Subscribe and share, spread the love, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks for the views.